Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and in this video I want to share with you what equity is, how do you calculate equity within your property, how do you calculate the equity within your portfolio. There is a lot of misconceptions about this, and in this video I want to share with you exactly what it is, how it works, how you can benefit from it, whether you're a homeowner, a property investor, or a property entrepreneur. Before we get started, smash the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell so that you get updated with the latest videos that we're going to be bringing out. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. Let's say, for example, you are in the process, or you are buying a property, or maybe you already own a property, right? And in this instance, you're buying a property to rent it out, so a buy-to-let. And let's say, for example, the value of your property is £100,000, right? So you've got that as the market value. And you used a 75% mortgage. So your loan to value is 75% and your mortgage is £75,000. Therefore, you had to put down a deposit of £25,000. Now, the reason why the numbers look like this, you might say, well, Collins, I can get a 5% deposit or 10% deposit. Well, strictly speaking, when you're buying a property for the purpose of renting it out, or buy-to-let, an investment, whatever it may be, typically they require you to put down a 25% deposit. You can get 15% deposits, you can get 20% deposit. A good place to work with, a good place to start off with is 25% in this instance. Now we will say speak with your mortgage broker or a mortgage broker that has access to the whole market. So what that means is they've got access to all your lenders out there, not just your high street, so that they can sort of ascertain your situation and find out what are the best products for you. So you've got a property, it's worth £100,000, your mortgage is £75,000 and your deposit is £25,000. So the question is, what is equity? Well, to keep it as simple as possible, or at least the first step of simplicity, is your equity in this case is the £25,000. The reason being is, if you were to sell that property, of course, give or take acquisition cost and selling fees, your net position would be £25,000, yeah? So if you were to say, what are you worth, or what is your net worth? It isn't £100,000, it's £25,000, yeah? Now, that's the basic way of actually looking at equity, just to keep it nice and straightforward. What if the property value goes up? This is really where it gets interesting, right? Let's say, for example, that is year zero, right? And in, let's say, for example, year 2, for argument's sake, that property is now worth, for instance, £200,000. So it's doubled, right? It's probably not going to happen in 2 years. Let's just say it's £200,000, just to keep the maths as simple as possible, right? Well, in reality, your deposit is still £25,000. Your loan or your mortgage hasn't gone up. It's still £75,000. And there is a slight deficit to what it's worth now versus what it was worth a year ago. So there is a deficit of £100,000. So in this example, adding the growth and your existing equity position or your existing deposit, that will be your new equity position, £100,000, right? So again, the difference between, well, the growth plus your initial deposit would work out to be your new equity position. And that's how lots of people become wealthy through property. That's how a lot of people have made a serious sum of money simply by sticking around and holding on to your assets. Now, there's many different ways you can accelerate that growth. I've obviously been a little bit exaggerated a little bit in terms of in 2 years. Let's say that would probably take anything between 6 to 12 years, right? To be quite conservative, just looking at past data. But there are many ways of which you can actually accelerate that growth and hack that growth through very clever negotiation, very clever acquisitions, and of course making sure that you've got access to these type of deals. So in its most simplest form, equity, and the calculation is what the market value is of a property minus any outstanding loan / mortgage. Okay? In this example, if there is an uplift in value, since your deposit is still in there, you want to work out what is the uplift, the new value, plus your initial deposit, and that will give you your new equity position. So again, if you were to sell that portfolio or sell that property, give or take, selling fees, acquisition fees, let's just park that to the side for a second, your new equity position will be £125,000, and that will be your net worth over time. So where it gets interesting is how do we accelerate and how do we hack that growth? And how we do that in its best form and in its best way is through, like I mentioned, smart negotiation plus smart acquisitions and access / control to opportunities. Interesting formula, if that makes any sense. So what do I mean by that? Well, the best way to look at it is if we could go back in the past and buy a property, I think we all know, whether you're from down south of England, we're currently in the office in Liverpool Street in central London, or whether you're up north in Newcastle, we all wish we bought properties in the past. But unless you've invented a time machine, that isn't quite possible just yet. So the next best thing is finding a property which you have access and control to, that opportunity, and applying smart negotiation and research. So how does that look? Let's say, for example, you've got a property. Now we know what equity is and the power behind equity. Let's say you have a property and that property is worth £100,000. And that property, you can purchase it for £80,000. That gives us a 20% discount, or what some might say, below market value. Okay? BMV. So let's say, for example, you've found an opportunity worth £100,000. You've got it for £80,000. You still apply the same figures as you've done before. So you're putting down a 25% deposit with a 75% mortgage. So your mortgage will be £60,000. And that is purchase price. And your mortgage is £60,000 and your deposit is £20,000, right? What you've done there through negotiating, acquiring, getting access and control to an opportunity like this is you've pretty much hacked time. You've gone back into time because the property is existing. It's worth £100,000. You've got it for £80,000. Now, you might say, why would anyone sell it for 20% below market value? Well, there's so many different reasons. Someone might be motivated to sell. It might be a repossession. It might be someone who has inherited a property and they're not landlords. They do not want to have an asset. They do not want to take care of a property. They need the money. They're selling as part of a bulk opportunity. We get access as a company to multiple deals, usually a minimum of 15% discount up to 25% and sometimes more. We get that on a daily basis, right? So we know the opportunities are there. We know they're out there and we just need to know how to negotiate it, acquire it, which means do the research, ensure it's worth what it is, have control of the deal, and then, like I said, turn it into an opportunity. So we have this opportunity here. How have we gone back into the past, you might say? Well, simply by having a property worth £100,000 today, where you've got it for £80,000, your equity position is £40,000. Why? Because it's the difference, the uplift between 80 purchase price and £100,000 value, plus your deposit, which gives us £40,000. So the moment you buy that property, you have £40,000 built in equity, right? And that's the power of property investment through applying a very clever strategy, right? You do that multiple times, that will put you in a position where you're constantly making money before you've even lifted a finger. So there's a lot of talk about refurbing, flipping, selling, adding value to a property. Well, why don't you add value through building your profit in the property before you actually purchase? And that's what we do at Procured Property, and that's what we like to share and let people know how that works, because it's a very clever thing to do. And like I said, it also mitigates, not only does it make you money, but it also mitigates your risk. Because if you know you're getting it for 80, it's worth £100,000. If anything were to happen and the market took a hit, you're still covered. Let's say if it hit by 10%, which is very unlikely, but it can happen. You're still covered by a 10% margin of protection. So I hope that makes sense. In this video, like I said, I wanted to share with you the basics of equity. What is equity? What is your net worth if you're purchasing a property? How to hack property investment. And I will make videos in the future that will go into depth of this particular strategy that we use every single day to help our clients invest with confidence and ultimately engineer their future. But the goal was for you to understand what equity is, how do you apply it with your own portfolio, what it looks like for you, and like I said, how do you speed things up and make higher returns or market leading returns. So hope you found that of value. My name is Collins Isaiah, and please like, subscribe, and comment below what you think of this particular strategy. Is there anything that I missed out? And comment below if you're currently buying properties below market value. And if you're not, would you and why? Hope that makes sense. Bye for now.